Sardonic tones of Mr. B usher us into another missions, another lockdown, the wheels within the wheels. We just keep spiralling forth. Well, we've got plenty of wheels in here. We've got records galore, and we just have to keep playing them, don't we? That's the way it works here. So this is vk3sl. Welcome to the afternoon sessione today, and we will do our usual thing. We'll strut our stuff, or indulge and wallow in nostalgia in many different manifestations. Well, to kickstart today, we will hear a recording from Mr. Big Goods, the Harry Big Goods broadcasters, and a song, well, it's on the Gaiety label. So there we go. That's a good sign. Big Goods broadcasters, a recording from the 1920s, late 1920s, pressed by Vocalion in Melbourne and released on the Gaiety label. It's the only Gaiety 78 I've got in the collection here. They're pretty scarce, and I think they were a paste over label, or a special issue label for Craig Williamson's, was it? Well, it's one of the department stores. There's a bit of a story there, a bit of a backstory about Gaiety Records. Quite an attractive label. I might get it made into a T-shirt. That could be a good idea. Maybe.
Is there a Gaiety Theatre somewhere?
I think there was, Frank. I think there was a Gaiety Theatre. Wonder if there was some connection. Maybe they sold these records in the foyer.
Anyway, how was your day?
Oh, good. Yeah, got through. Yes. I don't. When the weather's like this, it's a bit grim.
Certainly is.
It's one of a few grim things today. But the weather. I like a sunny day where I can go outside. But I did go for a couple of walks. So yes, I've been out and about. And did you get outside? Did you get to breathe some fresh air?
Yeah, there was a patch of sun this afternoon, and I managed to land that, so that sort of lifted the spirits a bit.
Yes, good idea. We have to take advantage of these moments.
Report on the last night the UHF transmission here.
Oh yes.
And I've taken the lid off that set.
Oh yeah.
I've got a big fan sitting right on the chips.
Okay.
And it's running 30 watts, no problems at all.
Oh, very good.
And it doesn't even get hot. And I'm running off a big Codan power supply.
Tremendous.
So,
here's the question: is the power supply getting hot?
It doesn't. No, it seems to cope with that. It takes 10 amps, I think.
Oh, okay, sure.
And no, it's a massive. You know how massive.
Well, I know they are, but they had a bit of an Achilles heel. So those Codan supplies, didn't they?
Well, look, 10 watts from this, it wasn't even hot.
Yeah, fair enough. No,
I mean,
remember,
those Codans take about 18 watts.
They do.
Power
That's it.
on SSB or something.
But I think we resolved that problem anyhow. It was to do with a rectifier or something, wasn't it?
It was just screwed on the side of the panel rather than on a heatsink.
Yeah, that's right.
See, they were designed for intermittent sideband use rather than continuous AM.
Yeah.
But anyway, it works fine.
Oh, very good.
And the thing is, I had a whole pile of UHF stuff I gave to Mr. E and Mr. A.
Yes.
Big, like 50-watt amplifiers, Philips base stations, all that sort of thing. And I thought, I don't need UHF.
Yeah.
And I just gave them away, and they're now sitting in the tip, as you know.
Yes, that's right.
And I could have run them off the Marconi signals generator, had hi-fi FM.
Yes, you could have.
I could have done all that.
You could have. You made the wrong decision.
Never get rid of stuff.
No, you've got to hoard. You've got to hoard things.
Because we're now in war economy zone, you have to keep everything.
Absolutely. Keep it all. Make an edifice out of it.
Yep.
No, that's the way. Look, I've probably got a couple of your old UHF Rex here. I've got a couple of those... what were they? Those star phones.
They're crap. 5 watts output there.
Okay.
I mean, they're not even worth looking at. They're the first generation. But the 30 watts is, 50 doesn't make any difference really. So I'm happy with that.
Okay. Oh, it's good that it's all working.
And it's small. It works okay. Sounds fine. So,
excellent.
It's actually quite a good option.
Very, very good indeed. Now that was the set that I borrowed some time ago, I think, wasn't it? The Jeff.
Yep.
So it's obviously doing what it should.
Well, it worked perfectly when I lent it to you, and it works perfectly now, but it never worked perfectly at your place. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's something to do with me. Bad synergy, bad vibes. I just don't have what it takes. I haven't got the right. I don't know. It's something about my setup. It's quirky, but look, that's all good. I'm pleased it's working. It sounds like it's doing what it should. And that intermittent issue you had the other day was just a bad contact, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, just a bad plug, automotive plug, but it been one in the back of the ute and it all rusted and everything.
Yeah.
So just when it got hot, it started to sizzle and be a resistor.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's most excellent. I did enjoy that program. I thought that was most interesting about wartime at the monitoring stations, and we did follow on in kind because I played yesterday a recording of Nancy Weir. Yep, and she was a monitor. Yeah, so there we go.
Would have been quite good. And they had antenna parks.
Yeah.
At the places, the mansions.
Yes.
How would it be working at a mansion, this antenna parks, and just listening to the receivers all day?
Yeah, that's right. They could kick back and, just be in a nice warm room with lots of, big banks of AR-88s and so on. HROs. That's what they used in Britain, wasn't it?
Yeah, they also just used domestic radios, I think.
Oh, did they?
So they're less complex stuff.
Okay. Very good.
Just the national broadcasts. Didn't need high selectivity and everything.
I suppose not. Yeah, oh, very good. No, it was a interesting doco, so yeah, we'll look forward to more of those.
Well, there's plenty of all those things. Of course, they're all on the web, but
they're there.
It's different. I mean, people don't listen to them, but they're good broadcast fodder.
Oh, certainly are, and I'm more inclined to listen to them if they're played on air than I would be.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it sort of has a different magnitude, I think, when they're up there, when they're on the radio itself. So, that's all good news about the improved situation there. So yes, UHF is the new space. So I think I will make that change on Friday nights. It's just I'll run a VHF for the first half hour or so, and then QSY to the.
When you think about it, like Channel D. If it's blocked out for 4 or 5 hours and people can't use it, and there are a lot of people driving around, it's quite a used channel.
Yeah, I do hear quite a lot. I've got it running here, and I do hear it being used a fair bit.
Yep.
Certainly
and
this
I only started
part of
using it, I think, when we got back from the 2001 trip around Australia.
Right.
And I came back and Channel D was totally dead because everyone had gone to phones.
I see.
The Wick and the Beck and all these people had gone to the phones.
Yes.
And they're playing with the analogue phones. And it's, it was 90-something. Anyway, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, no one's using Channel D, I'll just use it.
Yeah, because you used to use UHF back in the...
Yeah, I was on UHF originally.
Yeah, sure.
And even 6 metres. And then I thought, well, VHF, everyone's got it. And then in the last few years, it started to become quite a group again on there.
Yep.
And, isn't it? And I don't know, is this channel... Obviously no one uses it. I haven't heard anything on except you.
Really. Look, I think it's okay. It's quite near to a repeater. Mr. OP made an observation about that, and Mr. W made an observation about that. So we just sort of keep holding the space. Hopefully it'll be okay. We'll just just keep an eye on things, I suppose. So look, it seems to be all right for the time being. But, it's interesting to get the history of Channel D, and, I do hear other stations. When I've got it on, I've got to remember to turn it off when I'm teaching, so there is a bit of traffic.
Right, you might hear Adam.
Yes, that's right. So, we get all manner of interesting, discourse.
Yeah, and the VHF, it doesn't seem to get used either, except from you and OP and people like that.
Yeah. So, it seems to be holding up at the moment. So, very good. Well, we'll look forward to more UHF engagement. Yeah. And, anyhow, so, we might continue with a bit more music, I suppose, and a few other bits and pieces. Now, of course, Mr. Sigley died this morning.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so...
82.
Yeah, so he's no longer... He was one of the longest standing people on radio. He started at the age of 13 or 14.
He did.
In the early days with Danny Webb, I think. I think he was Danny Webb's turntable operator.
Yeah, breakfast shows with Danny Webb.
Yeah, and the
Daybreak Dan.
Right. Okay, so that's where Mr. Sigley cut his teeth. Now, I've never been a great fan of Mr. Sigley. No. Look, I will give him a bit of a credit. He was a choir boy at St. Paul's Cathedral, and he did have a few hits. He recorded a few hits at the Hit Factory with Mr. A. So I might play a couple of those just to give him his due. And there is a top 40 with him, or sort of a part of it. Now, I have a feeling you might host that, Dave, but I've seen it in a few places, or it might have come from the original AML site. There's a top. It's top 10 or something from 1962.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I might give that a bit of a go, just honouring these who's left. There's very few people left from that generation, that period.
He might almost be the last.
He might be the last. He wasn't that old, but yeah. Anyhow, it's the end of Mr. S. The Price is Right. Was it that, or the Wheel of Fortune? Wheel of Bad Fortune.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That was Ian Turpie, wasn't it? Price is
That's right. Yeah.
Mr. Turpie. Oh. So anyhow, we might have a little tribute to Mr. Sigley, and hear a couple of his hits from the late 50s when he was a very young person. So anyhow, well, I
suppose Mr. Newt would be probably one of the oldest.
I'd say he'd be the last person standing, I think. Maybe.
You've got Laws in Sydney.
Yes, true. Laws has been going since the 60s.
That Sydney guy went too just the other week. What was his name? The newsreader broadcaster.
Ah, okay. I wouldn't know.
Bob Rogers.
No, was it Brian Henderson? One of those.
Oh, okay. Now, is Bob Rogers still alive? Because he'd be...
Yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah, he'd be well in his 80s now, wouldn't he?
An interview with him a while ago.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So...
Laws are still broadcasting.
Yeah, Laws is, isn't it?
Oh, God, how he can still go on, I don't know.
Yeah,
I know.
It's the golden microphone, I think. It has some sort of magical
Hello,
powers.
world.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Now he's on all the country hillbilly stations, that's all you hear him on now around New South Wales.
Okay. Well, he's certainly of that ilk. He loves his hillbilly. Well, he made quite a few records, didn't he?
He had a big hit in the 1950s, Love is a Golden Ring.
Oh, you've stolen my thunder. I was going to play that record with Ernie Sickley.
That's Ernie. Ernie did that.
Ernie did that as well. 1957. I think everyone follows suit, you see. Once these hits come out, everyone has a go at it. But
Met Ernie in a coffee lounge about a year ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Really?
It was just happenstance, and the owner of the coffee shop said, "Do you want to meet Ernie?" And I said, "Oh, well, yeah."
Yeah. Okay.
Because his grandfather knew my grandfather, apparently.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
There's some connection anyway.
Sure.
But he was pretty demented.
Yes, that's what they said. They said he had Alzheimer's disease.
He had pretty well advanced Alzheimer's.
Oh,
yeah.
did he really? So he was probably not that aware of anything or anything.
Well, he remembered Love is a Golden Ring. I asked him. It was the only thing I could think of at the time to ask you about.
I wonder if he has many memories of St. Paul's, being a choir boy in St. Paul's.
Yeah. Well, he probably does. I think sometimes when you have dementia, you remember back better than what happened 10 minutes ago.
Yes, I think so. Yes,
he probably doesn't want to remember St. Paul's.
No, maybe he doesn't, because he would have been in the choir when, wait for it, Mr. A.E. Floyd was taking the choir and organist at St. Paul's.
Doctor, if you don't.
Oh, sorry. Oh God, I've got to. That's.
Walter Siskand.
Yes. Well, that's right, Mr. Siskand. You almost had an Alan Seal type enunciation. Yeah.
I used to hold my breath wondering if he was going to get through the section.
Yes. Dave's got a brilliant film of him, and everything's in huge type, all handwritten out for him, reading the titles, and the guy comes into his house with a Nagra and records all of the bookends of all his of his program, and everything's in huge type because he couldn't see anything.
No, but that said, he used to play some beautiful music.
Yeah, of course. He was a masterful improviser, and it's legendary. He was a top musician, and he was at was it the Academy of Music? He came from one of those sort of elite institutions in London and in Britain, and had quite a close association with people like Arthur Sullivan and all these sort of famous composers from that time. So he sort of hobnobbed with them.
And he wasn't like he had a bit of a common touch, before Karga and that. He was, it's quite listenable for people who weren't really super serious.
Yeah, I don't think he took himself that seriously, and I think he had a fairly, balanced look on things.
Yeah, and of course because he's been gone. That film's black and white, pre-1975, so he's been gone a couple of generations really. So no one knows who he was.
Oh, exactly. No, look, he was sort of Elgar's generation. He was born about 1870.
So it seems so long ago.
Yeah, it's a hell. I mean, he's from a much earlier time. He was already old when he started broadcasting. In the 30s, I think he was already in his 60s. So, or maybe something like that.
Well, 95 and 75 or whatever.
Yeah, so it goes back. But anyhow, Mr. A. Floyd. But there's documents about him doing sort of reviews of concerts around the turn of the century in big sort of London venues and stuff like that. And he was renowned to be a very good improviser. So, that's the story. But he had a long association with St. Paul's and right through. And he was a very good friend of my great-grandfather, who was the Dean of St. Paul's in the 40s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used to see each other socially, apparently, according to family legend. Not that anyone really would want to know that. But anyhow, well, from the, shall we say, the ridiculous to the sublime, yeah, perhaps the ridiculous to the sublime or the other way around, I've got my other recording of Felix Mendelssohn and his Hawaiian Serenaders here on the table.
Excellent.
And I reckon we could have a listen to Japanese Sandman. Take it away, Mr. Mendelssohn. Hawaiian to the nth degree. Yes, with a classic vibrato at the end of the phrase. There we go, Felix Mendelssohn and his Hawaiian Serenaders. And I still don't know who he was, but I know who his nemesis was. He wrote some good symphonies. But yeah, that's the 20th century Felix Mendelssohn. And on the slide guitar, I presume. Yeah, so here we go. That was just a cap off our Hawaiian escapade.
Very good.
Yeah, now I've been going through some of these records and some local stuff here, Frank. I just don't know who. I really need you to sit with me and go through them because I just don't know these artists. There's an early Magnasound disc here. Now Magnasound was Mr. A's label in the early, and it's Dennis Gibbons. Do you know anything about Dennis Gibbons?
Oh yeah, he's a 3AW announcer. David know about Dennis, I reckon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mr. Stu, Dennis Gibbons. He's not there.
Dennis was in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
He was a folk singer.
Yep. Okay. Sure.
He had a pleasant voice.
Okay.
A sort of light voice as an announcer.
Mm-hmm.
A nice, amiable sort of breezy manner about him.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay.
Dennis.
Mr. Dennis the Menace. Okay. Well, there's a record of his on Magnasound. I was just wondering who he was and what the background was.
Worth a listen.
Oh, I reckon we could put this on. So we've got Marianne and we've got the Money Tree. So what do you reckon?
Very good.
Shall we give Marianne a go?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll just have to do a backflip here. Get over to the turntable, take off Mr. Mendelssohn, and we'll have a listen to this Magna sound. Now, we'll tribute this to the Hit Factory, because this would have been early days of Mr. A and his exploits.
All day, all night, Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. Even little children love Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. Marianne, oh, won't you marry me? We can have a bamboo hut and brandy in the tea. Leave your fat old mama home, she never will say yes. If mama don't know now, she can guess. Yes. All day, all night, Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. Even little children love Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. When she walks along the shore, people pause to greet. White birds fly around her, little fish come to her feet. In her heart is love, but I'm the only mortal man who's allowed to kiss my Marianne. All day, all night, Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. Even little children love Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. When we marry, we will have a time you never saw. I will be so happy, I will kiss me mother-in-law. Children by the dozen in and out the bamboo hut, one for every palm tree and coconut. All day, all night, Marianne, down by the seaside sifted sand. Even little children love Marianne, down by the seaside sifted sand.
Dennis Gibbons, and I presume that would have been made in the early 1950s, or mid-1950s I should say.
It was a hit in 1957.
Oh, was it really?
Done by a guy called Terry Gilkinson and his Easy Riders.
Oh, is that right? Now that rings a bell. Something's dawning on me. I will see if I've got that 45. So 57, you say, Frank?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, that pretty much dates the record. So I presume that's one of the Magna Sound that Mr. A would have made on his Buyer, 77. It's probably around that same era that he recorded all those Smacker Fitzgibbon discs.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, so, and that's when I did my interview, I was asking him specifically about that time when he was doing location recordings using his Buyer Mark 1. And I was asking him about his mixer and his mics, and he loved the STC 4017, which is sort of quite similar to the Ball and Biscuit mic, but a slightly earlier version of it actually, but he liked its resonance peak, and he got everyone to use one before he got into Neumanns and condenser mics and stuff. So that was an interesting little anecdote. And he used a Philips pencil mic on the piano. And what else did he use? Used a number of old, I think mainly STC mics. But and he had a custom mixer, but that had some nice reverb in it. So I presume it's probably at his studio. But anyhow, if we see him again, I'll ask him about that, about recording Dennis Gibbons.
Dennis made a few recordings just accompanying himself on the guitar.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, good. Well, now I've got some background on him. I'll look him up, find out some more about him, and maybe there's some on-air material with him as well from 3AM.
Yeah, well, there's bound to be.
Yeah, good, excellent. Well, maybe that's a good segue into listening to some of the Aussie battler, Mr. Sigley, who passed away this morning or yesterday.
Yeah, old Ernie.
Yeah, Ernie Sigley. Rough as guts, but he was good. Well,
he was good. He was from Footscray.
He was from Footscray, yeah. But yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll grant him that. Footscray.
Yes, that's right.
Anyhow, he did make a big hit. His first big hit was what you mentioned before, Love is a Golden Ring. So let's hear Mr. Sigley. Now, this is 1957, something like that. And he's still a teenager because he was born in 38. So he's a young fella here, but here he is.
Your love and mine, dear, it will shine, dear, just like the golden ring on your finger. Love isn't just for tonight, or two arms that hold me so tight. Love is a song that two must learn to sing. Love is a golden ring. Love's not a summer romance or the kiss that follows the dance. Love is forever a very lasting thing. Love is a golden ring. The wedding in the church, the happiness and tears, the little ring you'll wear will last through all the years. And in our golden days we'll find eternal spring with love and the golden ring. So please, won't you wear it for me with faith and sweet charity? And for lonely lovers lost, this message I will bring. Love is a golden ring. Love is a golden ring. Love is a golden ring. Love.
Oh, how quaint. He's still a choir boy, isn't he?
He's still a choir boy.
So his natty goat vibrato. A 19-year-old Ernie Sigley. So there we go, on W&G. So there, that's it. Well, actually, I tell you what, I will play. This goes for about 5 or 10 minutes. It's not that long. There is this little segment from the hits of the day from 3DB. Now, here we go. It is the Hit Parade from 1962. Now, it's sort of top and tailed. And so we don't sort of get the full... we just get the announcements mainly. But someone's compiled this, and it's... we'll make this an extra tribute to Mr. ES. Let's have a listen. Oh, wait a minute.
Very good indeed.
I've got to just cue this one up, and we'll have a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Sigley at the microphone on this Sunday, the 1st of July, presenting the top 10 tunes around Victoria in the Hit Parade of Victoria. The biggest seller of the week belongs to the Sydney group, the Joy Boys. It's been in the charts 2 weeks. Last week it was number 31, and this week it comes into the top 10 for the first time at number 10. The Joy Boys, Southern Roarer. A great sound on that festival recording by the Joy Boys. Hit tune number 10, The Southern Roarer. Well, this one's dropped 3 places from number 6 to number 9. It's been in the charts 8 weeks. Andy Williams, The Wonderful World of the Young.
Close your eyes, come with me, and we soon will be in the wonderful world of the young, of the young.
Here's another newcomer to the top 10, and that's Frankie Davison, jumping in from number 12 to number 8. This is one of the biggest selling records at the moment around Australia, and it's been in the charts 7 weeks. Frankie Davison, hit tune number 8, Have You Ever Been to See King's Cross? Frankie records for W&G Records.
If you think you've done some travelling, like I say you've been around, that you've seen the sights of Paris or the heart of London town, you might say a night in Soho would be mighty hard to toss. But let me tell you, boy, that you just ain't lived until you've seen King's Cross. Have you ever been to see King's Cross, where Sydney siders meet? There's a million faces going places.
Well-deserved applause for Frankie Davison singing his own composition. Hit tune number 8 this week in the hit parade of Victoria. Have you ever been to see King's Cross?
For music at its very best, news and weather too. Stay tuned.
This one's been number 7 for 3 weeks in succession. On Liberty Records, Johnny Tillotson sings his own composition. It keeps right on a hurtin'.
I cry myself to sleep each night, wishing I could hold you tight. And it keeps right on a hurtin' since you're gone.
Listening then to the voice of Johnny Tillotson, hit tune number 7, It Keeps Right on a Hurtin'.
I've been everywhere.
Well, this one's dropped 2 places from number 4 to number 6. Lucky Star on Festival, I've Been Everywhere.
I was humping my bluey on the dusty Oodnadatta road when along came a semi with a high-end canvas-covered load. If you're going to Oodnadatta, mate, don't be silly. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the desert's fair, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been here, there, everywhere. I've been everywhere.
Okay, mate, you've been every place except one, and you don't need my help to get there.
You're in tune with the hit parade of Victoria, coming your way from 3DB3LK. Your regular date every Sunday night, 6:30 until 7. I see. Robbie G's been there for 2 weeks now in the number 5 position. I don't think he'll go up any further. On Festival Records with Si Senor. 7 weeks in the charts. Our next one's been in the charts for 8 weeks. It was number 1 for 5 weeks. It's now dropped from number 3 to number 4. Larry Finnegan. Larry Finnegan records for London Records.
When the mailman came to our house this morning, I was waiting right there for him. Oh, he wants to steal my heart away.
Record number 3 on our jamboree.
What What a seller this one is. Gene Pitney recording for United Artists. Hit tune number 3, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Been in the charts 3 weeks. Come up from number 10.
When Liberty Valance rode to town, the women folk would hide. They'd hide. When Liberty Valance walked around, he was the bravest of them all.
Well, if I was a betting man, I'd lay odds that that'll be number 1 next week on... I'm not a betting man, not really. I'd lay odds that that'll be number 1 next week on the hit parade of Victoria. It's a beauty, selling like a bomb. Gene Pitney, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Record number 2, we'll spin it now for you. I can't stop loving you.
That's the title.
I've made up my mind to live in memory of dreams of yesterday.
A wonderful record that by Ray Charles and the Raylettes, recording for Empire Records. Hit tune number 2, I Can't Stop Loving You.
Record number 1 on your disc parade.
For the first week, the number 1 record around Victoria. Gordon Bell's favourite tune.
West of the wall, I'll wait for you. West of the wall,
The singer is Tony Fisher.
all come true. Though we're apart a little while, my heart will wait until we both can smile. That wall built of our
Well, let's run down now the top 10 tunes of Victoria. Number 1, West of the Wall, Tony Fisher. Number 2, I Can't Stop Loving You. Number 3, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. My pick for number 1 next week. Number 4, Dear One, Larry Finnegan. Number 5, Si Senor, Robbie G. Number 6, I've Been Everywhere, Lucky Star. Number 7, It Keeps Right On a Hurtin'. Number 8, Have You Ever Been to See King's Cross, Frankie Davidson. Number 9, The Wonderful World of the Young Andy Williams. And number 10, Southern Roarer, The Joy Boys. Well, that's all from the hit parade of Victoria. I do sincerely hope you enjoyed it and that I can have your company next Sunday night, 6:30 until 7. So until we meet again, Ernie Sigley saying bye-bye for now.
There we go. Nostalgia on 160 and on UHF. Ernie Sigley's Top of the Pops from 1962.
Very good.
Yay. Now, I was thinking he must be 23 when he made that. So it's quite sort of formal in a way. When you think of Grantley D and others sort of really going to town with sort of high-octane antics on the air, he's fairly tame, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyhow, there we have it. Ernie Sigley as in his early days of being a DJ. Now, I thought that recording was originally hosted by The Branch. I seem to thought it was up on his site, and I did find it somewhere else though. And so there may be another dimension to that. That material. We'll find out. So, anyhow, Hit Parade from Melbourne. Well, let's see what else we can find. Now, we did play a recording of the Three Sons yesterday.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, the Three Sons. And I thought I'd flip the side and we'll hear side 2, which is, I can't remember what the name of it is. It's over here. It's called Tom's Tune. It's a pretty wrecked record, but keen to sample it nevertheless. So let's have the Three Sons on an old HMV 78. And are we going? Not yet. I know why. We haven't got our noise reduction system in. It should work now.
A nickel in, lend an ear to Tom's tune. Let the record spin, you'll romance to Tom's tune. Give your girl a whirl, hold her close and dance the whole night through. Don't stop, play it again, start at the top, that'll be when she softly whispers, I love you. Hearts are young and gay when they beat the Tom's tune. Hairs will fly away, life's complete with Tom's tune. Dance away your troubles, one and all. Sing away your worries, have a ball with Tom's tune. It's the happiest song.
The Three Sons on an HMV, rather scratched up HMV, but we got the effect and the sound of the accordion and the Hammond organ. And what did the third son play? Clarinet, I think. So that follows on from a discovery last week of a Three Sons transcription disc, and I would have known nothing about that had I not had the introduction last time. So anyhow, now last couple of days ago, yesterday, the days all blend into one. I sort of lose a sense of time. Was it yesterday, Frank, we were talking about covering songs and famous covers and so on?
Yes, that's right.
I think we were having that discussion where we were sort of looking at alternative versions. That's it. It all came about from Soft Cell and Soft Cell and Gloria Jones.
Oh, that's it. Yes.
Tainted Love, that's right. We played Tainted Love, a different version, and it was sort of, I thought, quite good. And in fact, I thought it was probably better than the later version of Tainted Love.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, we put out a bit of a shout, and people have come back with some suggestions, including a the music of Mr. Dylan, and it's a well-known song, The Hard Rains Are Gonna Fall, but Brian Ferry. Apparently.
Oh, yes, I know this recording.
Yeah, so we'll give Brian Ferry a Guernsey.
It certainly makes it sound different.
Yeah, that's right, and I've got my own antidote to this as well, so I'd like to have a listen to this. So we'll have a listen to this particular version of this great Dylan song. We won't hear Mr. Dylan. I think we will avoid playing the original because it sort of allows the covers to hold their own. So whatever that means.
I like your logic.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't really have any logic.
It's all right.
Don't think beyond the moment. I certainly am not. Let's have Brian Ferry anyhow. Rain's Gonna Fall. vk3sl and vk3jr, and it's queuing, it's slow, and it's still awakening. This is the problem here. You can't queue fast off YT when the internet's slow. Here we go.
Where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Where have you been, my darling young one? I've stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains, walked and I've crawled on 6 crooked highways, stepped in the middle of 7 sad forests, been out in front of a dozen dead oceans. I've been 10,000 miles in the mouth of the graveyard. It's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard. What did you hear, my darling young one? I heard the sound of a thunder that brought out a warning. Heard the roar of a wave that could drown the whole world. Heard 100 drummers whose hands were blazing. Heard 10,000 whispering and nobody listening. Heard one person starved, many people laughing. Heard the song of a poet who died in the gutter. Heard the sound of a clown who cried in the alley. And it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's a hard, 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 and it's a hard rain gonna fall. Oh, what'll you do now, my blue-eyed son? What'll you do now, my darling young one? I'm going back out for the rain starts falling. Walk through the depths of the deepest black forest, where the people are many and their hands are all empty, where pellets of poison are flooding their waters, where the home in the valley meets the damp dirty prison, where executioner's face is always well hidden, where hunger is ugly, where souls are forgotten, where black is the color and none is the number. And I tell it and think it and speak it and breathe it and reflect it from the mountain so our souls can see it. Then I stand in the ocean until I start sinking. To know my song well before I start singing. And it's a hard, it's a hard, and it's a and it's hard rains are gonna fall. And it's a hard, and it's a hard, and it's so hard, oh, hard. And it's a hard rains are gonna fall.
Well, I'd like to think that the songs...
Yeah, it was good to hear that again.
Yes, there's something sort of alluring about that performance. I don't know what it is.
I know. Brian Ferry was sort of like that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. He's got this weird percussive way of singing, doesn't he?
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't really know anything about it, but yeah, it's something quite captivating.
He had another hit that I really quite liked a lot called Avalon.
Oh, right. Okay. Avalon. I wonder if it sort of relates to the song called Avalon written about 3 or 4 decades earlier. I wonder.
No, I don't think so.
Possibly not.
What was his group again?
I don't know. It's just, it doesn't say.
Yeah, he had a group.
Mm-hmm.
Martino was in it for a while.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, very good. Anyhow, that's a good suggestion, and it's certainly strikingly different to the Big D's version. And but I also noticed there's a really nice folk rendition of the same song, and a completely different, comes from a totally different place. But it's nice to sort of contrast these things. And here it is again with Joan Baez.
Oh, lovely.
And this is quite beautiful. But
Love Joan.
yeah, and yeah, it's just another take on a hit from Mr. D.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Oh, where have you been, my darling young one? I've stumbled on the side of 12 misty mountains. I've walked and I've crawled on 6 crooked highways. I've stepped in the middle of 7 sad forests. I've been out in front of a dozen dead oceans. I've been 10,000 miles in the mouth of a graveyard, and it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard. It's a hard rains are gonna fall. I saw a black branch with blood that kept dripping. I saw a room full of men with their hammers a-bleeding. I saw 10,000 talkers whose tongues were all broken. I saw guns and sharp swords in the hands of young children. And it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard. It's a hard rains are gonna fall. What did you hear, my blue-eyed son? And what did you hear, my darling young one? I heard the sound of a thunder as it roared out a warning. I heard the roar of a wave that could drown the whole world. I heard 100 drummers whose hands were ablazing. I heard 10,000 whispering and nobody listening. I heard one person starve. I heard many people laughing. I heard the song of a poet who died in the gutter. I heard the sound of a clown who cried in the alley. And it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard. It's a hard rains are gonna fall. And who did you meet, my blue-eyed son? Oh, who did you meet, my darling young one? I met a young child beside a dead pony. I met a white man who walked a black dog. I met a young woman whose body was burning. I met a young girl, she gave me a rainbow. I met one man who was wounded in love. I met another man who was wounded in hatred. And it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard. It's a hard rains are gonna fall. Ah, what'll you do now, my blue-eyed son? Ah, what'll you do now, my darling young one? Well, I'm going back out before the rain starts a-falling, where I'll walk to the depths of the deepest dark forest, where the people are many and their hands are all empty, where the pellets of poison are flooding their waters, where the home in the valley meets the damp, dirty prison, where the executioner's face is always well hidden, where hunger is ugly, where souls are forgotten, where black is the color and none is the number. And I'll tell it and think it and speak it and breathe it.
Another great cover of a Dylan song, Joan Baez.
Powerful song, isn't it?
It certainly is a powerful song. God, I was sort of really dwelling in the lyrics on that listen. And
wrote it just after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Is that right? Is that right? How interesting is that? Wow. Well, it's very powerful, and there's some remarkable covers of Mr. Dylan's songs, and his music just transcends. It can be really emboldened by the personality so much, and and people can really make it their own. His music, I think. So,
Dylan was very hard to please in terms of other people doing his songs.
It's interesting that. I wonder what he thought of Peter, Paul and Mary Blowing in the Wind. We played that the other day.
The people that he liked most doing his songs were Peter, Paul and Mary.
Oh, is that right? How interesting. Oh, that's great. And I wonder what he thought of the Seekers doing The Times They Are A-Changing. I always think that's a fantastic rendition of that song.
Look, I don't know what he thought of it.
Yeah, I do know that he enjoyed Manfred Mann's version of Just Like a Woman and The Mighty Quinn.
Mighty Quinn, yeah, that's great. Good
there's quite a bit of information when I did my Manfred Mann segments.
Yeah, that's right.
They were apparently, you like Paul Jones's voice. Fact, we can dial it up.
Before we do,
yeah, sure.
I remember the Brian Ferry group. It's Roxy Music.
Roxy Music, okay, on the list. Roxy Music, Brian Ferry. All right, we'll feature that. Yeah, thank you. That's good. And I'm still looking for that recording of the Easy Riders and
Wilkinson.
Yes, I'm sure I've got that here on a 45. It just suddenly. I just had a flash, so but I've been looking through 45s and I can't find it, but never mind. But yes, there's a couple of themes to expand upon. Well, look, let's have a listen to that great Dylan track, Just Like a Woman. It's all very politically incorrect, but who cares? And it's such a wonderful version. I love it. So British. Manfred Mann and Just Like a Woman, another Dylan cover.
Never heard that version.
Yeah, it's
really good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, Paul Jones just had a
great voice.
He had a fantastic voice, a really earthy voice. And he's still touring with the Manfreds, not with Manfred Mann. In fact, I think just about everyone in that band is still with the group, except for Manfred Mann himself, and who now does sort of jazz rock fusion stuff, and he's moved completely on from his pop stuff. And, he's made a definitive leap to the side. But
I must hear some of that.
Yeah, but I'm afraid they actually came out. They did a gig at the Frankston something club a couple of years ago. And if I'd known, I would have gone along to have a listen. Because I do like this 60s group. I think it's just got such a quintessential British sound.
It certainly does.
It really does. And but Mike Hugg's still with them, but I think he plays keyboards instead of drums now. And Tom McGuinness is still with the group, I believe. And what's his name? Darbo, I can't remember the Christian name. Another guitarist, I think he's still with them too, and Paul Jones, except Manfred Mann. So, of course, you could hear him playing I think it's the novochord or one of those early electronic instruments in the background there. And it's a great track. And they did a lot of Dylan stuff. Mighty Quint's another real fave, so we'll have to feature that again.
You know what happened to Manfred?
Yeah, we're still going. Yeah, I played an interview with him about a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got a very sort of sardonic worldview, which is quite good to hear. Basically, tells young people if they want to make it music, just give up, unless you've got that determination.
Right.
And he's just so nonchalant the way he says it, and. He really takes the interviewer off guard. It's quite funny, and but he's really, you can tell he's completely jaded with the industry. Hates everything about the industry.
Right.
And he didn't want to be a rock star. He enjoyed it for a short time, and then was very happy to sort of move on to his own projects and move out of the pop sphere. But for a short period, they were pretty big. They had a number of number one hits and very top musicians, every one of them. So everything they did sort of had that real solidity about it.
Oh yeah, they had a real sound.
They certainly did, and just really great arrangements, good textual interest. So anyhow, I'm a bit of a Manfred Mann fan. But but he's sort of into jazz fusion, jazz rock fusion, and some really. He's got the Manfred Mann Earth Band, which has been going pretty much since the early 70s, right through to now.
Okay.
It's still touring, but it's really sort of it's quite contemporary jazz. You know, it's nothing like this at all. It's really sort of it's not free jazz, but it's complex, and you know how some jazz becomes quite ethereal.
Yes, it can do.
Yeah.
Do you know Frank Zappa?
Yeah, well, I know a few of his recordings. I've heard a few. I mean, he's sort of legendary, isn't he?
Right, well, he is. What you're describing sounds to me a lot like what Frank Zappa was doing. Okay, so he sort of wanted to move aside from the industry and just explore, more. Yeah, just do his own thing. Yeah. And he had a band called the Mothers of Invention. Mm-hmm. And I think Frank, he played some Zappa at one point, or someone. No, it was Andrew. Oh, yes, that's right. Mr. Newbeck. Yeah, Mr. Newbeck. Now, is he online at the moment? Yes, he is. Hey, Mr. Newbeck. Yes, he's listening. Mr. Newbeck, hello to you. Back on missions. Yes, we were looking forward to it. In fact, come and do a program on Mr. Zappa, please, Andrew. That'd be really good. I need experts. I'm completely out of my past band, but look, this is something I'm thoroughly enjoying. It's all in education. So, that'd be good. Is there a particular Frank Zappa song that stands out for you, Frank? No, not particularly. I've got a Frank Zappa LP, and there is a track, but I don't know the name of it that I particularly like. Well, we'll leave it until we've done some checks and things. And I listened to an interview with him on YouTube, and he was a really independent thinker and quite sort of acerbic and obviously he felt jaded by the all of the industry and the typical and the double talk and the way that. Expectations just and there seem to be some parallels with the way you were describing Manfred. I think they might be both just trying for they probably both succeeded
in a particular area that they didn't particularly want to succeed. I think after their 5 minutes of fame, they're really happy to get out.
Right.
So I get that feeling very much from Manfred, and he says he just gets lots of mail, and he just can't look at it.
Right.
So, yeah, anyhow, they're interesting topics because I think often artists do get branded and they get sort of solidified in a particular form and a genre, and it's probably it's like actors, I suppose. Actresses, they get caught up in a particular role, and then
they do long contracts with record companies, and the record company won't let them do anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Because a particular brand is successful, that becomes normalised, of course, and
all to do with money.
It's all to do with money. Well, thankfully now, I'd like to think we're more liberated. At least a lot more people are self-producing. That's a good thing. But I suppose it's just we're still victims of media magnates. If a particular group is successful on YouTube and so with self-produced stuff, and then they get bankrolled by some other consortium.
I think there's a lot more scope for individuality now, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think at least people can use more fusion elements, and you're not sort of pigeonholed in very, very stratified sort of forms of pop music.
Jacob Collier is the perfect example to me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he's just completely his own person, and is amalgam of so many different influences, and basically still does everything on his own terms.
He does.
Which I think has to be admired. So, yeah, bring it on. I think, we live in a time where there is a lot more, artistically, there's a lot more flexibility, but I don't know how it is for people performing live anymore.
No, I know, it's terrible. It must be.
Oh, I don't want to even go there. I don't want to think about it.
I know.
It's too painful. No, I'm trying to be upbeat. I don't want to think about the bad things.
I know.
I don't want to think about the bad things.
Remember not to listen to the news first thing in the morning.
I know. You're absolutely right. I woke up 10 minutes before my first lesson this morning, and I ran out here, switched everything on, and then I thought, where am I? Who am I talking to? And I quickly woke up. But yes, I didn't check the news, and I was
got ABC FM ready to come on, or MBS. I don't know what it is, but I've got them both on a toggle, and I just
good. Keep the music going, I think, rather than the waxing.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. Who does the morning programs on ABC now?
There's a guy called Scotsman, Andrew, what is it? Hold it. Yeah. Russell Torrance.
Oh, okay, right.
He's kind of okay.
Okay, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he knows his stuff. And, I did like it when Robbo did it, though.
Well, there's only one Robbo. There will never be another Robbo.
No, but I like the way he's just so irreverent.
He actually knew a fair bit about classical music.
He seemed to. He did. He had a really good knowledge of classical music, but I did like his irreverence. I mean, he'd be an impossible person to know, but yeah, standing back from afar, it's had good value, I think, for that, especially that classical music program in the mornings.
Remember one day he'd come on, and he'd come on after a woman who had a lovely voice called Marian Arnold.
Oh, yes, that's right.
He said, I really can't stand being near Marian. She's got so much perfume on, and it sets off my sinuses. And he wasn't joking.
Yes, I remember Marian Arnold, but she had. I won't say anything on air, but I've got some particular views.
She's played the violin.
Yeah, she's a fiddle player. She used to play in one of the community orchestras in Sydney.
Yeah, that's right.
I know people have played chamber music with her and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as does Eddie. He plays chamber music. Mr. Ayres.
Very good.
Yeah. So, that's the way it is. All right. Well, how's the time going here? Oh, it's getting to that time where I've got to be on dinner duty soon.
One thing about Robbo, I'm sorry to jump back.
Yeah.
I was reminded it took me a while to recover the memory because I'd dredged it away as being an unpleasant one.
Yeah.
I had to do a talkback call on Robbo as part of my work.
Oh, did you? Really?
He called me.
Yeah.
By arrangement.
Yeah.
And he was to ask me about a particular media release that that they had done at the then ACA, Australian Communications Authority, about a consumer protection issue that I was in charge of.
Right. Okay.
And Robbo was to ask me about this media release.
Yeah.
We got on, and he said he didn't ask me one question about the media release. He wasn't interested in that. He wanted to know about a whole lot of other controversial things. And I just stonewalled him. I said, I don't know about that. I came over as the classic public servant, knowing nothing, but it was far better than trying to get into a...
Trying to navigate your way through, because I'm sure he's a supreme manipulator.
Oh, yeah. That's why I realised the less I said, the better.
Well done. Oh, good on you. That would have been a very intimidating experience.
It was because it was he didn't stick to the script, you know.
Yeah, that's shocking. It doesn't surprise me in the least, but especially if you had a brief and you're trying to sort of.
I guess he thought, you're just a public sees fair game. We'll see what we can get out of him.
Yeah, I dare say he did. I'm sure that was his mode of thinking, but that's most interesting. Gosh, I feel for you. That would have been
I'd squirrel that memory away.
Oh, golly, gosh, I can only... my hair stands up on my hands thinking about it.
No.
Yeah. Oh. But
He knew a fair bit about the technicalities of how the network was working, you know.
Yeah, right.
He wasn't your dumb interviewer. He knew very easily enough to ask very searching, intelligent questions.
Yeah, I can only imagine he would have. He would have tried to circumnavigate you and triangulate you and put you into a box.
That's it.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so did he try and intimidate you when you stood back and just sort of maintained your nonchalance? Or?
No, I think he just made a couple of offhand comments about we found out nothing.
Yeah, okay.
Tempted to say, well, that was the idea.
Yes. Oh, well done.
Or you've got no opportunity to say, look, you're not asking me what you said you would.
That's right, exactly. You can't. So he's in a position of power, of course.
That's right.
Yes, there's certainly a power imbalance with anyone's interviewing, I think, in that sort of situation.
Very much so.
Yeah, and someone's sitting on the 7-second button waiting for something to go out of whack. That is most interesting. It's most interesting to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. But I had a physiological reaction to that story.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a similar event with a guy in West Australia called Howard Sattler.
Oh, yeah?
Who was a shock jock.
Oh, right. I think I've heard his name. Yes, he was...
The difference was that he didn't have the knowledge or the intelligence to know what were the questions, the really good questions to ask.
Yeah.
We're just looking for sensationalism.
Yeah, so he's just trying to sort of get an emotional response out of you or something.
I wasn't trying to do that. He was genuinely seeking information that would have been of interest.
Oh, I see. So he was dredging.
But I just wasn't in a position to give it to him.
No. Oh, gosh, that would have been... so that was over another sort of sensitive issue, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, oh, well, being at the receiving end of a shock jock wouldn't be fun either. Yeah.
We had these media releases which were aimed at the general public, and I would do... I didn't mind... I'd do news grabs. I didn't mind news grabs. They were all right.
Yeah. Okay.
But then as a result, the stations would pick them up and want to have, 5-minute interviews.
That's right. Wanted clarity on the issues. Wanted them to be fleshed out. Yeah. Gosh. Okay. Yes, Harold Sattler. I think he features in one of those documentaries on wireless.
Yeah. He was a shocker. He was sort of in the Alan Jones mould.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
I've derailed the thing a bit.
No, not at all. Look, they're really interesting stories, actually. I mean, they really paint a picture, and I think everyone listening would probably relate to the type of environment that you're describing.
Yeah.
And the complexities and the, above all else, the power imbalance, I think, is the big thing.
He's certainly very well aware of it.
Yeah, for sure. But that can be exploited in all walks of life. Yeah. Well, it's getting to that time. And now I was going to put on another Thunderbirds. So I suppose...
Oh, I love the one, the one that with, the one you had on last night.
Oh, yeah, the monorail.
The monorail, that was super good.
It was a great episode. It was. It was really good and had a great soundtrack too. And that screeching of the monorail, the screeching of and the whoosh of the... It kept the tension going, the whoosh, the sound of the thing. They had the Doppler shift.
I know.
It was really, really well done. It was so well done, and right up to the very end, the suspense was kept you there. It was just
one crisis after another.
It was. Must admit, I had some Thunderbirds time late last night, and I was looking up the various actors, voice actors, and what they did.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I did. So it was Ray Barrett who was John up in the station. Apparently, that was Ray Barrett.
Yeah.
And the others, I can't remember their names, but they were one Canadian guy, the guy who did Scott, and he was very regarded for a lot of voiceover. He's got a beautiful voice, actually, Scott. I really like his voice.
It's excellent, really solid.
Yeah, but just got a lovely resonance about his voice. And same with Jeff, actually. Jeff Tracy's got a beautiful resonance in his voice. And they're just really nice voices. And I'd love to hear a book read by them. And
okay.
Well, some voices just sound good, you know.
Oh, they do. Well, he had a lovely, as you say, a resonant. A lot of Americans have voices like him.
Yeah, that's it.
They're the sort of voice you used to hear on The Voice of America a lot.
Yeah, right. That's interesting. Yeah, so Jeff Tracy, the dad, he apparently dropped off the perch quite a long time ago, back in the 70s. Yeah, and he wasn't that old. He was only about my age. So so he died young, and Scott lived on. Scott, I wish I knew the names of these people. They're just not familiar enough for me to remember their names. But he lived on. And the lady Penelope, that was...
she was Sylvia.
She was Sylvia, yeah, that's right. And I realised that she only passed away fairly recently.
Did she? She had a lovely voice, I thought.
Yes, a beautiful voice, lovely voice, beautiful timing. She's a great actress. And
Tintin was a girl called Barbara Finn. Someone.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Oh, well done with the names. Anyhow, I was just having a bit of a read.
I was reading these off the net last night. That's how I'm so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting to look at these people and how they. What else they did, but I think a lot of them were fairly typecast, and they spent the rest of their lives going to Thunderbirds conventions and things like that. And
they were totally cult figures. That's
the thing; they become that way, and this is what we were saying before. I mean, certain individuals just become typecast, and they can never move beyond their roles. Like they spend the rest of their life on the convention circuit, just going to events.
Now, The guy in charge of that monorail project last night was John Tate.
Oh, really? Okay. So where else would we hear him? Is he? Did he do acting work as well?
Well, he was an Australian actor.
Oh, John Tate. Yes.
A very well-known Sydney actor. He was in a lot of things.
Yes, he was with Williamsons and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah, yes, I think he did stage stuff, but he was primarily a radio actor, to my knowledge.
Okay, very good.
He died in 1979, David looked it up for me.
Right, very good. So John Tate. Okay, I'll investigate. I'll look him up as well. Get some background. Maybe next time Jamie's here, we can feature Thunderbirds.
Well, he'll have lots of stuff.
He would, and it would be interesting to sort of feature some of these, Thunderbirds luminaries in their Australia with their Australian connections. Maybe
we got the three of them. There was John Tate. John Tate, Ray Barrett, and of course Charles Tingwell.
Yes, Charles Tingwell. I was very aware that he did quite a few Thunderbirds.
I don't know how much he did. I can't remember him actually hearing him, recognising him, but I think he was in some of the later ones.
Yeah, I think he just did a few small bit parts. I don't think he was a major player.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, but amazing to think that there's a lot of those orchestral scores. I mean, they do use the same leitmotifs, but there's a lot of they're well calibrated. I wouldn't surprise me if they recorded regularly to support, the latest episodes.
Yes, there's a lot of different stuff in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. It's really quite amazing, and there's a lot of incidental music as well. So they're like film scores. He must have been really busy, Barry Gray.
I like film scores. I hadn't thought of that. They actually are.
They really are. They really carry it.
It wasn't as though they got 5 minutes of music and just bits and that did them for the whole series.
That's right. There's much more to it than that, and the scores are really well unpacked and very well played, and just full of.
They added a great deal, didn't they?
They certainly do. And for me, that's it. I mean, it's the acting and the magnificent orchestral score, the sound of a full orchestra, and big luscious arrangements. I mean, Barry Gray just knew exactly what to do, and it was interesting those interviews with Barry Gray. He talks about how he actually he could write music very quickly. And I think that's what sort of allowed him to have such a...
what they needed, wasn't it?
Yeah, they needed someone who had that skill and knew exactly how to draw certain qualities. I mean, it's all sort of tongue-in-cheek and cliche, but it's fabulous. It has its own wonderful dynamic.
Beautifully integrated in with the whole thing, isn't it?
It certainly is. It's masterfully done, really masterfully integrated, and just carries the storyline through the special effects and the Foley artists too. I was often thinking there's a strong sound component to all of those episodes. And I'm appreciating it all the more now. They're very good. Well, I had one lined up called the something about MI5. It just sort of jumped out. If I can find the list, I think it's one of the more sort of homebrew ones. I think Penelope gets taken hostage, or there's something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not sort of high drama like the other ones, but it did jump out, and I thought it'd be nice to have a listen to. If I can find it here. No, so last night was The Brink of Disaster. And if I scroll down here we go. The Man from MI5 is the name of the episode. So we'll, I'll just cue it up, and we'll finish off with that today and
very good.
Give it a Guernsey. So, yeah.
I will sign VK3JR is signing.
Okay, and thank you. Yeah.
Resorting to listening.
Okay, no worries. All right. And what's Mr. Newbeck saying? He's saying that he did play some Zappa tracks indeed. And we look forward to having you back, Andrew, and playing some more Zappa tracks.
Better.
Yeah, we must get you on board. Come up on Zoom or something if you're available on a Friday night. We'll hear some more. So send us a playlist and we'll go with it. So nice to hear from you, and hope everything's travelling well. All right then, so I think we'll do that now. We'll get sorted, and I'll make that paradigm shift and switch off the stream. So if you're listening on the stream, you can move to the other streaming service, which is will be found on the blogspot, vk3sl.blogspot.com, and there are links to both streams, and I think it'll all make sense. But we do have to turn off the main YouTube stream when Thunderbird's episode comes on because of copyright obligations. So there we go. Thanks again, Frank. We'll look forward to your company tomorrow or whenever, and we'll, at this point, defer.
Hi, Steve.